So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this another episode of this Voices of Inspiration. Today, we have a great personality with us. He has a multifarious roles he has played in life. He got admission in BITS Pilani, one of the premier institutes of technology and science in India. And then, after studying there for 1 year, he changed gears and he got admission in this Hindu college and studied there BCom honors and ultimately becoming chartered accountant. And then he did MBA, specializing in two areas, especially this HR and marketing. He worked in India, he worked overseas, and he has a vast experience and he has acted and directed in plays also. And he has written three books, and one is Kafiyat Nama, one is Mohabbat Nama, and third one which we'll talk in detail today, that is that Contempricks. So he is none other than Mr. Rajiv Bali, and affectionately called this Rabbali Ihaka. So welcome, Mr. Rabbali.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grover. Uh, thank you for your, very profuse introduction. And not not popularly called, but yes, that's my creative name, Rabbali Ihaka.
Yes, so first of all, we would like to begin with this Rabbali name. How did you get this name, Rabbali Ihaka?
Okay, there's a mention in the book about it, but let me just quickly explain. Uh, Rabbali, of course, is Rabba and Ali, which is God's name, which are God's names, and also sounding similar to Rajiv Bali. So that was the genesis of Rabbali. And the Haka was when I was in New Zealand. I like this word, Ihaka, which is a Maori word. Maori are the original inhabitants of New Zealand. And it intrigued me, the word intrigued me because uh, it had it has two meanings, or it can be interpreted in two meanings. Two meanings can be deciphered from it. One is it actually means a blunt instrument in Maori. A blunt being, not sharp. And when you are saying that you are, very blunt, that means you are very frank and you are sharp. So it's both sharp and non-sharp. So that was, the dual meaning, which are opposites. And I like that word, and I used it as my takhallus, the poetic surname, shall I say.
Right, right. That's great. That's great. So tell us something about your this. How did you this changed gears from engineering, studying 1 year engineering, and then shifting to commerce, and ultimately becoming chartered accountant? Completely, you changed gears. So tell us something about that. How did it happen?
Yeah, it was one of the earliest, I should say, inflection points in my life, changing points. Uh, One of the first big decision when I had to come back to Delhi uh, for some personal reasons. So tried getting admission in Delhi College of Engineering, but they would not recognize the curriculum of BITS Pilani because that is affiliated to MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So the curriculum is very similar to MIT, which is unlike the curriculum in Indian engineering institutes. So they said that either you have to start from, year one. Uh, otherwise we can't take you in year two. And those days it was higher secondary, 5 years of engineering, then possibly 2 years of MBA. So I thought that it was going to be a long drawn affair. And I made the decision of changing streams.
Right, right. So today, after so many years, when you changed gears, so is there any regret that if I had done this engineering from BITS Pelani and now completely different stream? So what do you think now? How do you analyze that?
No, I don't really think that, by course, had I been, had I become an engineer, done engineering, life may have been different, would have been different. But having done, changed over to commerce and then done my chartered accountancy, I got much more opportunities, possibly, particularly in Africa, where there was at that point in time a dearth of accountants. So, I happened to get that chance of going there. And it is known at that time the dark continent, but today it is called the promising continent because everybody wants to go there since that's the continent of the future. So
Right,
I
right,
feel good that during that time, the transition phase from it being known as a dark continent to now, I have been somehow part and parcel of that transition or that journey.
right, right. Great, great. So, Mr. Rabbali, before we talk about your this latest book, Contemporicks, so tell us something about what exactly is the limerick.
Okay, limerick is a form of poetry like you have ghazals, you have bhakti sangeet. So in English, there's a format called limericks, which is a five-liner format. Uh, I mean, the Japanese have a similar format called haiku, but it's a three-liner. This is five-liner, and there's a particular rhyming sequence, which is A B B A, which means the first two lines should rhyme, the third and fourth should rhyme, and the fifth should rhyme with the first two. So that is why AABBA.
Right.
I mean, of course, there are some poets, contemporary poets, Haryanvi poets, otherwise also, who may have heard Char Laina. They
हाँ,
do it in
yes, yes.
four lines. They do it in four
सुरेंद्र
lines.
शर्मा, yes, सुरेंद्र
Surendra
शर्मा
Sharma
वो
ji.
चार लाइना करते हैं, yes, हास्य.
Yeah, so it's basically a format where there is it's fun-filled, it's a little bit sarcastic. Uh, 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 it's a humorous format primarily. But in my book, not necessarily that, because there are serious issues which have been discussed in those five lines. I use that format, and as one of the haiku teachers, uh, Ms. Mona Verma, who's a very renowned author, and she's a haiku teacher, she mentioned that though the syllables are not the same as in my contemporaries are not the same as a proper limerick, but the rhythmic beat is very much in line. So I felt good about it. That at least I've kept a couple of uh, parameters of that format. I have given, respect to that. But otherwise, it's limericks also normally has a twist in the end. There's the fifth line will always be a kind of a twist to the other four lines. So that also is covered in a few of my compositions or poetries, contemporicks. It is to the contemporicks is primarily contemporary issues. The word is a coined word. It's an amalgamation of contemporary and limericks. So contemporicks. It's the contemporary issues in the limericks hues. I have used the word hues because it's not exactly limericks. It's in that format. It's like limericks. So therefore, I've called it contemporicks or I've called it limerick hues. And
Right, right.
So that's what Contemporicks is all
No,
about.
no, I
And
have read your book, and that is definitely gives a lot of information for the this. I think that this latest Gen Z, you have mentioned also that this is particularly for them that they have no time at all. So that is why in the brevity you have tried to explain everything, and that does. I think that. This information is sometimes they are not having the information also that what had happened in the past, and then it inspires also and it educates also, and definitely there is a humor touch is also, so it is a combination of that, I must say that in your book. But why did you choose this format?
so, as you rightly mentioned, the thought came about when I was a little bit of, shall I say, intrigued, by seeing the millennials and Gen Zs and, the new generation, Gen Alpha, Gen Beta now, 2024 onwards, so born are called Gen Beta. I was intrigued by their capacity to be able to uh, handle so many things. In our times, there used to be less options, and we would concentrate maybe 2 hours on the newspaper, and things like that. But now it's so many things, so many social media, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or LinkedIn, anything, Twitter. There's so many media, and they keep on getting bombarded with information, and yet they're able to manage everything. I used to wonder how can they do that, and then I saw that they are into quick reads, short reads. They browse and then probably select the one which is interesting to them, and that is how they are able to cope up with all this bombardment of information. So then I said, okay, let me also try to consolidate, let's say, an article of say 600 to 1,000 words or even more into a five-liner and try to summarize it so that it's a probably a 30 seconds read, uh, and which is the time span or the eye span of the millennials and Gen Z. Uh, that if they can get that information within those 5 lines in those 30 seconds, uh, it'll be good for them. It'll be educative. It'll be informational, and that is why I've mentioned in the book also that I've used what I have termed as the REACH methodology. REACH standing for is an acronym. Standing for R is for rhythmic, E for educative, A for analytical, C for comprehensive, and H for holistic. So it's educative, it's analytical, it's rhythmic, comprehensively covering that that article or that subject matter, and so it combines everything, and that is why I call it the REACH methodology.
Right. That's great. You have just as a 5 days test is the things of the past, and you have this now 2020. You have taken into consideration the latest this audience in mind. That's great.
Now,
And
now,
what is the
now, there's a format called 10 overs.
10
Now there's
overs?
a 10
Yes,
overs
yes,
also.
yes. These are the times are changing fast. Yes, I agree. So, what are the various issues you have covered in your book?
Well, I call them themes.
Mm.
I've not given them chapters as such, but they are themes because they cover various themes. Um, there is a theme to do with environmental or climatic changes. There's a theme to do with, let's say, uh, the various sports and sports people, entertainment people. If somebody has done well, if somebody, of our times has passed away, like I remember one was Amin Sayani, whom I consider probably the first RJ of India. He was the first radio jockey, if I can say, of India. Though he was in that time it was called Ceylon in Sri Lanka. His program started from there, but he was one of the first in terms of having that kind of prominence and hold. So there's a chapter there. There's chapter on or chapter or theme on various significance of various, say, festivals. Then there are political issues, both international in India. There are some legal judgments which I have tried to cover in those 5 lines. As to how they have impacted society. Recent legal judgments. So those are the kind of themes I've covered in the 9 themes I've covered in the contemporaries.
Right. That means that you have covered this. You have taken into consideration these national issues, international issues, environmental issues, political issues, and then the sports you have also covered, and then these things you have covered a lot. So, what exactly you have thought about the audience? That what kind of audience would be reading this book?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the target audience is obviously the millennials and Gen Z. But I also say that who doesn't like a summary? Everybody wants an executive summary, even if it's a big book or in our corporate lives, there's a report given by somebody. The first thing we go through is the executive summary because it's a 2-pager or 3-pager, whatever. So so it's meant for the us generation also, because if you get something summarized in 5 lines, well, everybody would like it.
Right. That's great. Just you mentioned that the talk of Amin Sayani. So I think for decades he was controlling this radio. Means he was you just mentioned that first RJ.
Correct.
So I would just you have mentioned in the limericks also. So just I was saying that there are many things. Just I would like to this from your book, this justice delayed, injustice or justice denied. A person acquitted after 27 years in prison. So this limerick definitely I liked most. So what was in your mind when you wrote this limerick?
Okay,
That
let
is on
me
page
just, because there's a
51. Yes, page 51.
context written. Yeah, no, I said there's a context for each limerick,
Context, a
which I've
person
given in brackets
acquitted
at the bottom.
after, I will read that. A person acquitted after 27 years in prison and
Yeah,
has
so this was a case recently meaning about probably 8-9 months back now, because I started writing this contemporaries in end of 23, from end of 2023. So somewhere around that time, there was a person who had been jailed for 27 years, and then he was released or acquitted by the courts because the evidence was insufficient. So that's the question I have raised in that particular limerick. I'll read it out. Has anyone thought how it is to be acquitted after 27 jail years? Pride may be restored a bit, but life is shattered and in tears. If evidence was insufficient, then earlier both the investigators and courts had erred. Penalize both as a deterrent, since the accused had indelibly and unfairly suffered. Softening impact, that's my suggestion, softening impact. To start life anew, pay sufficient compensation which the state bears. Now, if it was the investigating authorities or the people who were deciding that particular case, they found the evidence not sufficient at that point in time, he would have probably lost 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. He's lost 27 years, entire, youth of his, and he gets acquitted. Fine, he'll regain some self-respect, but he's lost his life. So there's
That's great.
it's a question I have posed that in this particular case, the state should bear the expenses of either the judiciary or the investigating people, that is the police, not being able to do their work properly. I mean, otherwise, people will languish in jail and nothing happens to the people who are not able to garner sufficient evidence. And in some cases, we even found that sufficient evidence was there, but over this period of 27 years or 25 years, either it's been intentionally lost or genuinely lost.
No, I will like to add to it. You have just mentioned this 27 years, and recently there was a case decided 1947. Case was decided just a year back. So you can imagine that 1947, when I asked that why it took this more than 70, 80 years to decide a case. So then I was told very much like that way means I this looked at the genuinity of the things, because there are more than 4 crores cases pending in the courts. 4 crores pending, and courts are not sufficient, means our this judges means they are working overtime to they cannot solve those cases. And that is why what the government of India is now doing is, what they are doing is that they are going into this mediation. Soon you will be seeing that there will be a mediation law, because out of court settlement, because the judge will decide the issue only who is at fault, and other is not at fault. He will give judgment. So, but out of court settlement, just like in matrimonial issues, you must have seen that this when both parties agree to it, that we should apart. So let them, but court cannot do it. So that way, this mediation act, soon you will be seeing that mediation act is coming, and you might find some this limericks on those also, that these out of court, these settlements, when mediation it goes into, so 100 years, nobody wants that. 20, 25 years are gone, and after that, even if you get a judgment, so that is useless. But you have given a valid point that 27 years, what they were doing, but our rules, those are rules need to be reform. So
No,
definitely
there are
your
two
book
aspects,
will be
Mr. Grover. Yeah, Mr. Grover, there are two aspects to this. One is, of course, the Mediation Act, which you said, which is going on the lines of, let's say, probably US, etc., because there it's said in a jest that the highest paying profession is becoming a lawyer. The lawyer's profession is the highest paying because of this mediation. You know, most of the things are settled outside, and one party pays the other, and the mediator makes his money. Okay, so and they're interested in getting those settlements done. So that is one aspect of it. The other aspect is that if you have, you know, somebody, you like today. I mean, recently, a few days back, I think the Supreme Court came out with a judgment on the bulldozing. That look, if you bulldoze without the proper procedures, then you are liable to pay compensation, right? The state was asked, or the authorities were asked to pay compensation. So that's what I have mentioned, say, you know, about a year ago, that there should be a mechanism of compensation which the state should bear, because then all the arms of the state will become much more accountable and responsible, or they'll be made more accountable. Because if the state has to shell out that kind of money on each instance, then they're going to tighten the, you know, the screws on the whosoever is the party which is not performing well.
right. That's great. And another this I was going through this limerick, which I like mentioning, worth mentioning, is that this the question of this nota, change notation to nota. That earlier, if nota received the highest vote, the election had to be reconstituted. So changed rule, however, declares the second highest candidate as elected. So that this I was not aware of that why nota is there even. So I am sure that there must be many such kind of people like me who are ignorant. So you have rightly given them that both the aspects that nota. So would you like to say something on this?
Yeah. So can you just
53,
help
page
me with the
53.
page number?
Page 53.
53. Yeah, so I am sure that like various abbreviations of today, the contemporary abbreviations, LOL and whatever, have Nota also is one of the recently coined abbreviations. Recently meaning maybe 7, 10 years ago, which means none of the above. The full form is none of the above, Nota. So they came out with a, especially for elections, came out with a rule that if none of the above has the highest vote, then the election will be redone. That was the original spirit of Nota in elections.
Mm.
But recently, or a few years ago, the rule was changed that the second highest person will become the elected representative. But that defeats the very purpose of Nota. So suppose
Right.
Nota got none of the above options, because there's an option none of the above in the electoral rolls these days. So if that has garnered, let's say, 50 odd percent, 53%, let's say, and the other person, the second person has got only 20%, meaning 20% would be his own people. He is not really the representative of all the entire 100%, not even of the 50%. So why should he or she be made a representative? The earlier rule, which called for re-election, was a better one, because then everybody was on their toes. Now the second person says, okay, fine. Even if Nota gets the highest, I get the second highest, I'll become the representative. So I am told that this particular law, which has been changed, is under appeal in the Supreme Court. Now, how far it will go, I do not know, but that's what I'm told.
Oh, right, right. That is under appeal also. Yes, that's true that there is fundamentally something wrong when this nota gets the highest votes. So that means that fundamentally something is wrong, and that must be removed, that things, because the people are so irritated about the system, so that they are giving this none of the above this vote, maximum votes. So definitely re-election is the best alternative. Yes, you have pointed out this great things. So likewise, there are the whole. I am sure that there must be more than 400 to 500 limericks. So each limerick is insight, giving great insights.
No, there
So
are 200. There are 200,
200.
exactly 200. That's why I've even written on the side of the book 200 reads. So
Acha,
there are
yes,
200.
200 reads.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, 200. But
So,
that is giving
but of course, they were taken. The 200 were taken out from
this 2000 pages.
about 300. So they were shortlisted from about 300.
Right, right. And must be, as you said, that this is the summary. So definitely these are that a person who reads this limericks, so he has read, that means 5,000 pages. So by reading your 200 pages book, that's great. So another this I just find very interesting was this PM cares. This it is on page 75, that PM cares citizen assistant relief and emergency situations. So I would like you to elaborate that what was in your mind when you wrote this.
So it's got a genesis, which I've not written here, and that is my theory. So I've written here what I found from the research, because each limerick takes about few hours of research, and though it may be a five-liner, but it takes 3 to 4 hours to pen down, various drafts, various whatever. So I've written here exactly what there was in the research, or what I found, that this particular fund, which was created during COVID times, is kind of unanswerable to anybody. It's not like the Prime Minister's Relief Fund, which is under the Act of Parliament. So the Parliament can question. So it's a public charitable trust, and public charitable trust is also not subject to public interest litigation or RTI kind of a thing. So from both angles, it is a fund which has been created. Given the name PM Cares, CARES actually is again an abbreviated form of Citizen Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situations. That's the full form of CARES. And that's what I've written about, that, it shouldn't become another, say, the election fund, which was, 8-9 months back. It was, the Supreme Court decided against that particular fund, that particular election fund or election donations. So similarly, this also is under that same question mark, according to me. The genesis, according to my understanding, is there used to be a very capable, one of the most capable, according to me, in my younger time, Chief Minister in Maharashtra from the minority community by the name of A.R. Antole. He was considered that time as one of the best administrators, administrating Chief Minister of India at that time. And he did an Indira Gandhi Farm Trust, 2 or 3 trusts on similar lines, which were, of course, that time there used to be no RTI also, but it was not subject to the Parliament. And therefore, there was, petition against the fund, and it was decided that it was not the right fund, and he was asked to step down, and after that he kind of went into oblivion, kind of, nobody heard of him. But he passed away, I think, a few years back only. And by that time, this was probably around 2019 or thereabouts, he passed away. And the case had been pending in the courts for a long time because, yes, there was a moral, ethical issue at hand. Technically, he was correct, but moral issue there was. But he was acquitted at around 2019 or thereabouts. And then I think a year later or something, he passed away. So I think that was the genesis of also the PM Cares, because it got the similar kind of, tenets and the rules are of similar nature. And therefore, it is not transparent, according to me. It needs to be transparent, whether the fund has been really used for what it was.
No, that way, if there is
So
a
now
Prime
some people
Minister
can
relief
argue
fund,
that, okay, yeah, it's not. This is Prime Minister Care Fund. It is not Relief Fund. That's what you mentioned.
no, that means that there are now 2 funds: Prime Minister Relief Fund and PM Cares Fund. Now there are 2 funds.
No. Yes, there are 2 funds, but Prime Minister Relief Fund is under the Act, so it can be questioned in Parliament. PM Cares is not under. It's under a public charitable trust.
Oh,
it cannot be questioned. So it cannot be questioned. Nothing can be raised. No, they don't need to give any accounts. Nothing happens.
So that means that if it cannot be questioned, then
okay. So it is shrouded in. It can. I'm not saying that it has, but because it is not transparent, it is kind of shrouded in some kind of secrecy.
Right. That's great. Wonderful. So this you have said that this you have it takes 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours and 5 hours to write a limerick. So how do you manage your time management skills? If you can give some tips on that. because people are not able
What?
to find this even this 1 minute, 2 minute from 5 day test matches. We are going to towards 10 hours, and you are devoting so much time that how do you manage your time? What is the secret?
So I'll use the same analogy that for T20, the players practice the entire year. Okay, so that's the effort they put in, though it may be
Right.
only a 2020 match. Okay, whereas for 5 day test, I mean, there are on record, even the great cricketers of yesteryears, they have said on record saying that we never used to go to so much of gym and exercising and whatever, all that, keeping fit regime, right?
Right.
So, similarly is with this. Now, I've tried to shorten this for more people to enjoy, but yes, my effort is is more to
No,
try to.
that is why I am asking that when your efforts are more, so then how do you manage your time? That is the secret.
I think it's something to do with your passion. If you once you start liking you have that passion, then you can devote time to it. You carve
Right.
out specific time.
That's great. That if you follow your passion, then that means that then time is not a constraint when you follow your passion. So you have written so many this Mr. Rabbali, this poetry earlier also. This, I think that you are with us
Yeah, I'm with you.
because you are not visible on
Who's
screen.
that?
So just I wanted to ask that this can you tell us something about your this earlier poetry book, Kaifiyat-e-Nama and Mohabbat-e-Nama, a little bit?
Well, those were pure poetry. Those two books were pure poetry. Except I just say that I put a tune to that poetry as well, and therefore it was a kind of a precursor to today's audiobooks. I used to give it along with a CD, DVD with the tune composed. In fact, even when I had to get the copyright done, so that's the time I came to know that there's a separate copyright for the written word and a separate copyright for the music or the tune, and which used to take much longer because they had to find out from various musics or whatever that whether this tune has not been plagiarized or copied from somewhere else. So only after that they give you the copyright. So it both the books, the copyright took longer because of that factor. And so the first one was again a mix of genres, and the second one was only on the genre of love. So but with a kind of a story like sequencing or thread in between. Two people meet, they get upset with each other, they get separated, they join, they try to find each other. That kind of storyline was there in the 51 or 52 compositions which were there in Mohabbat Nama.
Right. Great. So it was great interacting with you, Mr. Rabbali. So I would like to ask audience if they want to ask any questions because this book, CONTEMPRICKS, is already on Amazon's bestseller list, and I'm sure that this will touch hundreds and thousands of lives. So audience, if because they can unmute and then ask question.
I wasn't asking, I was showing the book. I'm the proud owner of the book.
Okay. I don't know whether many people have read the book or not, but
No. After this, I'm sure that after this podcast and when they listen to it, and I'm sure that I'm again recharged because I read your complete book. But after discussing with you, I'm again recharged that so many things that I was not aware that these are the things. But that is, as I earlier said, that not only the book is informative, it is inspiring also, and it is humor. It has humor also, and all those qualities of, as I say, that सुरेंद्र शर्मा की 4 लाइना का पूरा इसमें
thank you.
पूरा
Thank you,
इसमें
Sushil ji. Thank you so much for your kind comments.
definitely it was nice talking to you, and thank you so much I thank the audience also for becoming part of this podcast. So thank you once again, and definitely we'll meet next Friday with another charming personality. So thank you once again. Thank you, Mr. Rajiv Bali and Rabbali Ihaka.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good night. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.